Well, today we shall be studying the transportation problem. Transportation problems are a special kind of optimization problems. In fact, special kind of linear programming problems which deals with transportation of products from some origins to some destinations. Suppose there are m origins O1, O2, Om and n destinations D1, D2, Dn, where the cost of transporting one unit item from origin 1 to destination 1 is C11. Similarly, cost of transporting one unit of item from origin I to destination j is Dij. The origin O1 is able to supply A1 unit of items, O2 is able to supply A2 amount of items. Likewise, the origin OI is able to supply AI unit of items, I equal to 1 to m, and the destination Dj has a demand for Bj units to be delivered from the origins j equals to 1 to n. Suppose the origins are some warehouses and the destinations are some retail outlets. So our problem will be to minimize the cost of transportation. As I already told you, Cij is the cost per unit of item to be transported from origin I to destination j, as those are shown in the table. Suppose in order to solve the problem, we have the solution that x11 unit of items to be transported from origin 1 to destination 1, x12 amount of items to be transported from O1 to D2. In this way, xij amount of items to be transported from the origin OI to the destination Dj. Then what will be the total cost of transporting such amount of items? As we see from the cost table, the total cost of transporting the items will be C11 x11 plus C12 x12 plus ... it will be up to Cmn xmn. So our aim will be to minimize this total cost. And what will be the constraints? The constraints will be given by the availability of supply and requirement of demand. As we see, the amount of items to be transported from O1 are x11, x12 ... x1n. Their sum, that is x11 plus x12 plus ... x1n, should be less than or equal to A1. Similarly, we shall have constraints for the supply of items from the origin O2 and up to Om. Again, we shall have some constraints for the demands. As we see, the destination D1 has total demand B1. Suppose out of that B1 demand, B1 unit of items demand, x11 has been made up from the origin O1, x21 has been made up from the origin O2, and xm1 has been made up from the origin M2. So we will have the constraint x11 plus x21 plus ... plus xm1 should be greater than or equal to B1. Why it is greater than equal to? Because the demand must have to be fulfilled. It may happen that total amount of supply from one origin may not be utilized, but the demand is to be fulfilled if the supply and demand are, total supply and total demand is equal. So we have the linear programming formulation of the transportation problem as minimize z equals to summation I equals to 1 to m summation j equals to 1 to n Cij Xij, subject to sum j equals to 1 to n Xij less equal to ai, I equal to 1 to m. These are for the supplies, and these are for the demands. Sum j equal to 1 to m Xij should be greater than equal to vi. These constraints are due to the demands, and obviously Xij should be greater than equal to 0. That is, the amount of items to be transported from one origin to another destination must be non-negative. It cannot be negative, it is trivial. So this is the total formulation of the transportation problem. As we see, it is a linear programming problem, so we can solve it by the techniques which we have learned so far to solve linear programming problems. But we must see that the number of variables is will be too many. As we see in this table, if there are m origins and n destinations, there will be total mn number of variables in the linear programming formulation of the problem. Let us consider an example. Let's see an example. Suppose there are two origins, two factories, O1 and O2, from which the items to be transported to three retail outlets, say D1, D2 and D3, and the supply is available at the origins O1 and O2 are respectively 2000 units and 2500 units, and the demands at the destinations D1, D2, D3 are respectively 1500 units, 2000 units and 1000 units, and the respective costs are shown through some arrows. That is, the cost of transporting each unit of item from origin 1 to destination 1 is 8 rupees. Say from O1 to D2, each amount item will be requiring 6 rupees. From O1 to D3, it will be 10 rupees. From O2 to D1, it will be 10 rupees. O2 to D2, it will be 4 rupees, and O2 to D3, it will be 9 rupees. And also we see here that the total amount of supplies is 2000 plus 2500, that is 4500, and the total demand in the three destinations is 1500 plus 2000 plus 1000, so it is also 4500. So if we formulate this problem in terms of a linear programming problem, we can see that it can be written as from O1 to D1, suppose X11 units of item is transported, from O1 to D2 X12, from O2 to D1 X21, from O2 to D2 X22, and O2 to D3 X23 units of item are transported. So we shall have the total cost of transporting the items 8x11 plus 6x12 plus 10x13 plus 10x21 plus 4x22 plus 9x23. So our objective will be to minimize this total cost, and the constraints will be for the supplies. For the supplies, we will have x11 plus x12 plus x13, that is the supplies available at O1. It will be less than or equal to, it is equal to 2000. Yes, it is equal because it is a balanced problem. What is a balanced problem we will be describing later on. And similarly, for the supplies available at the destination at the origin 2, we shall have x21 plus x22 plus x23 equal to 2500, and for the demands at the destinations d1, d2, d3, we will have the constraints x11 plus x21 will be equal to 1500, x12 plus x22 will be equal to 2000, and x13 plus x23 will be 1000, and each of the variables x11, x12, x13, x21, x22, x23 will be non-negative. As we see here, only 2 origins and 3 destinations, and the resulting LPP has 6 variables. So it is large enough, and for moderate number of origins and destinations, the size of the linear programming problem will be huge. So some other techniques we should apply to solve the transportation problems. Before going into solving the problems, we should learn some theorems, and which will take without going into the proofs. First one is that a necessary and sufficient condition for a transportation problem to have a solution is that the total demand equals the total supply. That is, the problem should be balanced. As in this example, the total supply is 4500 and the total demand is also 4500. So in order to have an optimal solution, it must have to happen that the total supply and the total demand must be equal. As I have already told you, the problem will be called a balanced problem if the total supply and the total demand is equal. That is, sum I equal to 1 to m ai is equals to sum over j equal to 1 to n bj. And if the transportation problem is unbalanced, that is sum ai is not equal to sum bj, then we have to convert it to a balanced one before solving it. And there are two possibilities. One is that the total supply may be less than the total demand. Another possibility is that total supply may be more than the total demand. So what we should do, if the demand exceeds the supply, that is, the total demand is more than the total availability of supply, that is sum ai is less than sum bj, then we should insert a dummy origin with cost 0. We were writing the origins along the rows. OM is the last origin here in the original table. So we should insert a new row OM plus 1, and cost of supplying items from OM plus 1 will be 0 for each of the destinations. That is, the extra supply available can be instantly transported to any of the destinations. We are assuming it fictitiously. And we will take the AM plus 1, that is the supply available at the newly introduced origin OM plus 1 will be the rest amount, that is the total demand minus the total supply. That will be assigned as the supply available at the newly introduced origin. And the cost at each the cost for each of cost of transporting each unit of item from the origin m plus 1 to the destinations d1, d2, dn each will be 0. And the second case is that the supply exceeds the demand, that is, there are more supply available than the demand, that is sum ai greater than sum bj. In that case, we introduce a dummy destination we had destinations d1, d2, dn, so we introduce a new destination dn plus 1, where also transporting items from each of the origins O1, O2, OM will be 0, and the demand at that dummy destination will be the difference between some ai and some bj. So that is the way how do we transform an unbalanced problem to a balanced one, and we must have to make it balanced before solving it. So the next theorem assures us that a balanced transportation problem always has a feasible solution. Not only that, the third theorem asserts us that if a problem is balanced, if a transportation problem is balanced, then it will always have a basic feasible solution. That is, such a solution will consist of m plus n minus 1 number of positive variables at most. That is the variables we choose in the linear programming formulation of the problem, that is x1, x11, x12, x13 up to xmn. Total mn number of variables were there, and among those mn variables, at most m plus n minus 1 variables can be at strictly positive value, and the others will be 0. Okay, now as I have already told you that solving a transportation problem through linear programming technique may be cumbersome, it may be a tedious job due to the presence of many number of variables, a huge number of variables. There are several other techniques. So to start with, that is for getting an initial basic feasible solution, there are several methods. We start with the northwest corner rule. Northwest corner rule. We have taken a problem with 4 destinations and 3 origins, and the supplies available at the origins of 1, O2, O3 are respectively 16, 12 and 15 units, and the demands at the destinations d1, d2, d3, d4 are respectively 12, 14, 9 and 8 units. And we have to check at the very beginning whether the total supply is equal to total demands or not. Here we see the total supply is 16 plus 12 plus 15, that is 43 units, and the total demand, that is also 12 plus 14 plus 9 plus 8, that is also 43. So it's a balanced problem. Next we move forward to get an initial basic feasible solution. As the name suggests, we start from the very northwest corner cell, that is the 1, 1 cell. In the 1, 1 cell, we see that the total supply is, so supply available is 16 units and demand required is 12 units. So here we can supply at most 12 units to meet up the demands, that is to choose the minimum between these two, 16 and 12. We have to choose the minimum between these two, and we see it is 12. So we assign 12 units of items to be transported from origin O1 to D1, and as we see that the total demand of the destination 1 has been fulfilled, so we don't have to bother about the first column anymore. So we discard it from the problem. We discard it. So what rest? Now the supply available at the origin O1 will also be changed. 12 has been exhausted, so only 4 units are remaining. So with this new supply at O1, and we have a new problem with only 3 destinations D2, D3, D4, and the demands at D2, D3, D4 will remain same, 14, 9 and 8, and the supplies at O1, O2, O3 are respectively 4, 12 and 15. Here also we see that in the reduced problem the total supply is 4 plus 12 plus 15, that is 31, and the total demand is also 14 plus 9 plus 8, that is also 31, and it has to be because we have reduced only 12 units of items from each of the supply and the demand. So the reduced problem will also be a balanced one. So next what we shall do, as we see the next northwest corner in the new problem, the northwestmost corner is the O12 cell, the 1-2 cell. So in the 1-2 cell we check again the minimum between the supply and the demand, that is the minimum between 4 and 14, it is obviously 4. So we shall assign 4 at the O12 cell, and we see here that the supply 4 at O1 has now been exhausted, and the demand at the destination D2 has been reduced to 10, although it is not fulfilled totally. So now our origin O1 will not be able to supply any item anymore, so we should not bother about the first row of the problem, so we discard the first row. So our new problem consists of only 2 origins O2 and O3 and 3 destinations D2, D3 and D4 with the supplies 12 and 15 respectively, and the demands 10, 9 and 8 respectively. Again we go to the northwestmost corner, that is the 2-2 cell, and here we also find the minimum between the supply and the destination, that is between 10 and 12, it is 10. So it is 10, we assign 10 at the cell 2-2, and we see that the demand at D2 has been fulfilled totally, and the supply at O2 has not been exhausted, it is available 2 units still now. So we discard D2 now, the column corresponding to D2 now. Next we move towards the nextmost northwest corner, that is the 2-3 cell, where we find the minimum between the supply and the demand, that is between 2 and 9, and it is 2. So we assign 2 at the 2-3 cell, and now we see that the supply at O2 has been exhausted, whereas the demand at D3 has been remaining 7 units, and so we shall discard the row corresponding to O2 now. And finally we have only one origin O3 and 2 destinations D3, D4 remaining with supply of 15 units and demands of 7 and 8 units respectively. So we don't have to decide anything anymore, we can simply assign 7 units at the cell 3-3 and 8 units at the cell 3-4. So our initial basic feasible solution through northwest corner rule for this problem is x11 equals to 12, x12 equals to 4, x22 equals to 10, x23 equals to 2, x33 equals to 7 and x34 equals to 8, and the total cost and the variables what I have not written here, value of those variables will be 0, because these are only the basic variables and the others are non-basic variables, so those will have the value 0, and the cost involved in this solution will be 12 into 4 plus 4 into 6 plus 10 into 6 plus 2 into 4 plus 7 into 2 plus 8 into 9. That is how much? 48 plus 24, that is 72. 72 plus 60, that is 132. 132 plus 14, it will be 146. 146 plus 72, so it will be 218. Now we have got just an initial VFS. We do not know whether that is the optimum cost, that is whether it can be reduced further or not, we do not know. How do we check the optimality, that is whether it is possible to reduce the cost further or not? For that we do some test. Next, to do the test, we take the problem, that is the cost and the allocated cells with the allocations we have got so far. Yes, I am taking it, and we are not considering the supplies and demands now. So it is 12, it is 12, it is 4, it is 10, it is 2, it is 7, and it is 8. Also we have to note that the total number of variables which are at non-zero value at the initial VFS is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here m equals to 3, that is the number of origins, and n equals to 4, that is the number of destinations. So m plus n minus 1 is 3 plus 4 minus 1, that is 6. So our solution, this one, is a basic feasible solution. As we know, in a basic feasible solution, the number of variables which can be present at non-zero value is m plus n minus 1. Okay, now to check whether the solution is an optimal one or not, we choose some new variables. We denote them by uy and vj, and those uy plus vj's will play the role of zj in the corresponding linear programming problem. So we will have zj minus cj equals to 0 for the basic cells, that is for the basic variables. That is, we will have u1 plus v1 will be equals to 4, because zj minus cj will be equals to 0, that is Zj will be equals to Cj. Now u1 plus v1 will be equals to 4. I am writing those relations. u1 plus v1 will be equals to 4. Then u1 plus v2 will be equals to 6. That is for this one. Next, for this one it will be u2 plus v2. So u2 plus v2 is also 6. Next, u2 plus v3 will be equals to 4. That is for this one. Next, for the occupied cells in the third row, we shall have u3 plus v3 will be equals to 2, this one, and u3 plus v4 equals to 9, this one. So how many variables we have considered in total? We have considered 1, 2, 3 ui's and 4 vj's. So we have considered 4 variables. And how many relations we shall have? We shall have total 6 relations. So to get a unique solution, we must consider sum of the variables ui and vj 0. And here as we see that we have 7 variables and 6 relations, so we should choose any one. 7 minus 6, that is 1. We shall choose any one of the ui and vj as 0. In fact, it will be suitable to choose ui or vj 0, that one in whose row or column maximum number of allocations have taken place. Here we see in each row there are 2 allocations, and also in columns d2 and d3 there are 2 allocations. In column 1 and 4 there are only 1 allocation. So we choose any of the rows or columns having 2 allocations, the value of ui or vj 0, vj 0. So suppose I am taking u1 as 0. So if I take u1 0, then what happens? Then v1 must be 4, because u1 plus v1 equals to 4. Now for this cell also we shall have u1 plus v2 equals to 6. So v2 should be 6. u2 plus v2 equals to 6. We shall have u2 equals to 0. As u2 becomes 0 now, then v3 will be 4. As v3 has now become 4, u3 will be minus 2, since u3 plus v3 equals to 2. And finally v4 will be 11, because v3 plus v4 v4 will be 11 because v4 plus u3 equals to 9. Yes, 11 minus 2 is 9. And now for the unoccupied cells we evaluate delta ij's by considering the relation by considering Zj minus Cj, that is Ui plus Vj minus Cj, Cij minus Cij for the unoccupied cells. And since it is a minimization problem, in the corresponding LPP all the Zj minus Cj should be less than or equal to 0 for optimality. So all Ui plus Vj minus Cij should be less than equal to 0 for the unoccupied cells. Let's see. So for the 1 3 cell, for the 1 3 cell Ui plus Vj is 4 and 9 minus 4 is 5. We write 5 here and put them in circle. And for 1 4 cell Ui plus Vj is have I done any mistake? Yes, Ui plus Vj for 1 3 is 4. So 4 minus 9 is minus 5. And for 1 4 cell it is 11 plus 0 minus 15. 11 minus 15 is minus 4. For 2 1 cell it is 4 plus 0 minus 2, it is 2. And for the 2 4 cell it is 11 plus 0 minus 1, it is 10. For the 3 1 cell it is 4 minus 2, that is 2 minus 5, it is minus 3. For the 3 2 cell it is 6 minus 2, that is 4 minus 7 minus 3. Yes, we have evaluated delta ij's for all the non-occupied cells, and as we see there are so many positive values of the Zj minus Cj's, that is delta ij's, this one and this one. So this solution is not optimal, that is there is possibility of reducing this total cost to 118. Next we shall study some other method to find the initial basic feasible solution, and we will also prescribe some method how we can improve one initial basic feasible solution towards the optimal basic feasible solution.